vulnerable. It makes us feel exposed. It makes us feel like, no, that's just going to get under my skin, and just to think about it, I don't want to do it. But the angel said to Mary and Joseph, take the child, and run to Egypt, and stay there until I tell you. Now, Egypt may not have as much of resonance to you and I, but to the Jews, I bet you it had a lot of resonance. I bet you that if I tell you, let's go back to a place where you were held captive for 430 years, you're going to tell me, no way, Jose, I'm not going there. For us to read the scripture and read the story and hear what it could have felt like. For Mary and Joseph, they didn't only take a risk. Mary didn't take the risk to be the incubator, human being, or incubating womb to preserve the development of this child, who ultimately is the Son of God. She took on that risk, but now she's being asked with her husband to put their life and marriage at risk by going back to the very same place where their ancestors and their people were held captive for 430 years. This is less than a month from the time the child was born. Now, just so we can stir up some emotions this morning, I want to read a couple of things to you. That same day, Pharaoh gave orders to the slave drivers and the foremen in charge of the people, saying, you are no longer to supply the people with straw for making bricks. Let them go and gather their own straw, but require them to make the same number of bricks as before. Don't reduce the quota. They are lazy. That's why they're crying out, let us go and sacrifice to our God. Make the work harder for the men so that they keep working and pay no attention to lies. Now, when we read the story about the Exodus, and we read the story about the Pharaohs, how harsh they were with the Hebrews. That's not how it all started. The way it started was with 70 people who went into Egypt because of a famine. We're talking about Israel and his children, Joseph included. God positions Joseph to be the second man in command. And he is in charge of all the storehouses. He's in charge of having enough savings so they can have something to eat during the famine. As a matter of fact, Joseph becomes so well known. And Joseph becomes having by so much favor in the eyes of pharaohs and the Egyptians that he is almost like an Egyptian. They like him so much, they made him second in command, and they welcome his family, 70 in total. But then something happened. And what happened was that things changed. And we can all agree here today that things change. They don't stay the same every day. God allows certain changes in our lives. God allows certain things in our lives where we may find favor in one day. We may find grace in people's perspective in one day. But then the very next day, the very next month, the very next year, those who were your buddies, those who were your inner core are no more. Things change. Joseph had paved the way for his family's well-being in the short as well as the long run. But something happened. And what happened was that the access they had to the throne of Pharaoh, the access they had to the storehouses, the access they had to be an influence among the Egyptians, all of a sudden got cut off because Pharaoh died. And a new Pharaoh took over. And guess what? This new Pharaoh that took over, he didn't know Joseph. He didn't rub elbows with his friends and families. It's like being for Joseph, I can think about being in a job for about long enough, 5, 10 years, however long it takes, and knowing everybody, knowing how to do your job left and right, inside out, knowing the systems, knowing the processes. But then all of a sudden, a brand new boss comes into place and he changes everything. And you feel like you're just as new as the person that started the day before. That's how it must have felt for Joseph. All of a sudden, there's a new Pharaoh in town, and everything he had worked for to build security for his family, everything he had worked for to be able to be a long-term influence, to be able to preserve the well-being, to retain the quality of life for the Hebrews, all of a sudden got cut up. And years went by, and the Hebrews, they multiplied in numbers. They kept growing and growing. Joseph, before he died, he said to his brothers, I am about to die, but God will surely come to your aid and take you up and take you out of this land to the land he promised on oath to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. And Joseph made the sons of Israel swear an oath and said, God will surely come to your aid, and then you must carry my bones up from this place. The trial had not started. The slavery process had not started. But Joseph, it seems as if he had a prophetic understanding that he made his family swear an oath even before trial started to say that God will surely show up and rescue you. Now, God spoke to Abraham some time ago when he gave him the promise. God spoke to Abraham and said to Abraham, it said, then the Lord said to him, Abraham, know for certain that your descendants will be strangers in a country not their own, and they will be enslaved and mistreated 400 years. But I will punish the nation they serve as slaves, and afterward they will come out with great possessions. Before even Abraham died, God had already given a word to Abraham and said, I'm going to make your descendants, I'm going to make your family as numerous as the star in the sky or the sand on the beach. But before that happens, I want you to know that your descendants will inhabit in a land not of their own, and they're going to be mistreated and enslaved for 400 years. Somehow that information got passed along the generations to the point that Joseph had his brothers and his family members swear an oath saying, don't give up. Don't leave Egypt beforehand. Wait for him. Because it doesn't matter how long it takes, God will surely show up and rescue you.